Yeah, with some good examples. I mean, you mentioned fund tokenization. Obviously, that again helps bring these costs down. I think about the partnerships Citi and SIGs had recently on tokenizing private markets, and that's obviously great for access. With regards to technology, and you mentioned regulators as well, we're here in Singapore, and when I think about the Monetary Authority of Singapore's projects, it seems to be that it's really bringing people together on the custodian side, but also engaging clients, the asset managers in these initiatives as well. How important is this collaboration in terms of moving the industry forward with innovation, which, like you said, will ultimately reduce costs and that is going to benefit the client?
Well, in a nutshell, you can't move forward unless it happens collaboratively, full stop. Yeah. Right? And the reality is, the markets who are going to be driving this fastest will be because of the regulator. So in Singapore, had you asked me this question 12 months ago, I would have said Singapore was leading the space with Project Guardian and various other initiatives. That said, Hong Kong has come back and has, I would say, taken the lead right now. Yet the whole broader ecosystem and the distribution of tokenized funds hasn't been fully defined yet. But we're seeing them drive this with real examples. And so coming back to your question, is it important? Absolutely. We will get nowhere unless we work closely with the regulators and with the new infrastructures.
No, I completely echo that. Again, let's not forget that before being eventually competitors, we are partners. We have reciprocity, we are helping each other in a number of markets. So that is important. For bigger evolution, for faster adoption, definitely there should be a pickup coming from the industry. So it means among all of us. And just to quote one example again here, Phil, we have just announced that we are migrating to proximity, which is a typical example. Again, something that has been created by one, but now more or less the industry believe that this is the right solution. And again, if this is the right solution and it brings the value, I believe that there will be adoption. And this is a clear example of, yes, partnership exists, collaboration exists, and when it makes sense, everybody benefits of it.
Yeah. I mean, we're all spending a lot of money right now. And frankly, on a personal level, if I know that, there's a large market participants are using things like proximity, and I value what it does, I'm going to start to move my investments and my builds into that direction because we're going to get closer to an industry standard or an instant community viability that it's being used, right? And this is what we're talking about is the future ecosystem. What does it look like? How do we get there? We can't go back, 80 years ago, whenever Swift ended up becoming the infrastructure from a communication layer. The thing is the markets were already established, right? If you wanted to trade, you were there. They were able to come in with a infrastructure layer that streamlined and standardized the communications. We're in a whole new world with things being built at the same time that these infrastructure and roads are being put into place. So it's going to be group discussion, working together, seeing what's viable, and then we'll all move into 2 or 3 different directions, but it'll normalize to those services that last.
I think about, you mentioned a presentation on 2017 you said on DLT. I remember areas being called like low-hanging fruit, and it was corporate actions, things like collateral mobility. If I take the latter of that, it seems like there are initiatives out there, but perhaps new silos being created by everyone working on their own projects. Is that what we need to avoid?
Well, the corporate action is always close to heart. So when I started my career, I started in strategy consulting, and one of the first projects I worked on was looking to create a corporate action utility. This was many decades ago, and yet we're still in the same place, right, around corporate actions. Yet with a smart contract, you actually address that. So to me, this technology will happen will drive change, and we're seeing it happening now.
It's a fantastic point that you raised. I believe that when we talk about tokenization, okay, we talk about the asset, but we tend to forget the underlying technology. And today, let's be very honest, the DLT within our infrastructure, within our backbone in terms of IT infrastructure, the instantaneity that it can provide, all the steps that we are familiar with that can be scrapped out, basically we are not yet there. And I believe that this might be, and again, this is what I anticipate at least for the next 5 years, so hopefully that now we understand better that underlying technology, trying to apply that to our core activities. So that's probably what's still missing, unfortunately. But again, we are discovering, we are learning by walking. Hopefully we have learned enough to try to leverage on that.
I feel like we've hit on a lot of buzzwords. We've had DLT, we've had private markets, I brought up digital assets. We haven't talked much about AI yet. Phil, how is AI being used? And again, a bit like digital assets, we need to define what we're talking about here, don't we? Gen AI, how is it being used? What do you see as its potential, and how could it really shake up what asset services do and provide? Okay,
so that question is almost its own talking discussion. Let me just kind of generalize in AI. So from the discussions that I've had with various people within the industry as well as AI experts, is where AI adds the most value is task-based orientated things. So you see some natural benefits in areas of risk, surveillance, operational tasks, reconciliation. So some significant opportunities within that. But at the same time, everyone's gone through these kind of putting in their POCs to put those together, but we haven't seen necessarily an industrialized rollout going from POC to industrial rollout into the environment. And I think there's a couple of challenges to that and why. And I just kind of touch on the high ones, things like the data, right? It's all about the quality of the data that's going in for the AI to take its action. It's also about getting people to use it, and not only use it and leverages it, but then translate that how it's going to impact their day-to-day business and jobs. And so we as an industry need to work a bit better, or as companies work a bit better in helping bringing our staff along to embrace AI, and then find ways for that to really impact the business. But AI as a future state, I think we're all looking at how AI is going to ultimately be a differentiator for all of our firms in terms of our client communication, products and services that we offer. But I'll park it there because there's a lot more that still needs to be done in order for the true value of AI to be extrapolated in our industry as a whole.
And there's many use cases, and existing use cases, and I'm sure both of you have those as well. Two examples for us is even just RFP responses, right? Being able to automate that, at least the initial response based on data that we have. We use AI to support us in creating news flashes, being able to trawl the various websites, the depository, the exchange, pull out the relevant information and draft a news flash. You get it more timely, it's faster, you're less likely to miss any. So these are real live examples of where AI is being used.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Is there a future for AI in our industry? The answer is yes. But again, maybe let's take a bit of a background. AI has been in our industry and has been used by all banks for ages. Again, probably more back-end. And what is new? Why do we now talk about that? It's what? It's Gen AI. It's large language model. It's the power of computing, plus combined with cloud. This is where basically, certainly I will say the potential is huge. That's number one. Yes, of course, we can use that for multiple purposes. Automation, reducing, I would say, manual tasks. You're absolutely right. Market and client update, this is a huge potential. It's not about removing from a people impact perspective. It's not about removing people, but it's to elevate the value that we expect from our employees. It's not the drafting part, it's the reviewing part. It's to bring the quality, it's to bring the market knowledge, it's to bring the insight for the benefits of client. At BNP Paribas, to be very clear, we are currently across the bank maybe 700 use cases, and we aim to reach 1,000 use cases because we really believe that this is the way forward. Yeah. But at the same time, we have to be mindful. Can we do everything ourselves? Probably not. So that's why, again, we are looking at partnership with fintech. And just to quote one, which is Mistral AI, a French AI company that we have been partnering with to, again, maximize the value and to get the knowledge, because it's specific knowledge that we need, and the technology behind. And we should not forget neither responsible AI. We can't do everything with AI. There are definitely some kind of boundaries that we need to be very careful on, be it in terms of confidentiality, in terms of data protection, in terms of data leakage. Again, we come back to data because, as you rightly said, Phil, AI use data. AIs consume data. So again, we come back to, I would say, the link between AI and data.
I like that you bring up responsible AI, because there's two other things. We as an industry, similar to how we tackled cybersecurity, need to work together around AI. And what I mean by that, cybersecurity, all the major banks get together, they talk about, all the threats that they're seeing, patterns, actors, changes. AI, because it consumes massive data, is a natural target for cyber attacks, et cetera. And again, we need to, as an industry, work together, be responsible in the industry. But more importantly, that responsible AI, and I'll give you another example. So I had a conversation with Oliver Klein from AWS last week, and I just asked him, where are we headed with AI? And he was talking about, Gen AI, et cetera, and he started talking about agents, AI agents, right? And he gave me a picture that says, we're all gonna use an AI tool that's gonna be our agent, that's gonna log into all of our banking apps, all of our, Amazon, all of our online accounts, et cetera. So what does that really mean? Well, if I'm making investment decisions and I'm buying and selling things, moving money around, my banking app is very well interacting with my AI and not with me directly. So if something goes wrong, who's responsible at the end of the day? Because we have a responsibility, KYC, know your client, interact with your client, but it's actually the AI that's behind it. Now, I'm not trying to scare people around AI. What I'm saying is that direct client interaction is going to change, and our policies need to consider some of these implications, because at the end of the day, the way Oliver put it is, well, it's still my problem because I'm the one using the agent, et cetera. How does a regulator look at that if there's a massive impact on bias of an AI and passing out investment decisions? So these are things I think we as an industry and the regulators will start to look at as we're rolling out. So there's a lot of direct benefits, but there's a lot of things we need to think about from an overall risk perspective too.
Interesting that a lot of these areas of growth and opportunity have that risk-reward balance. We're talking about digital assets as well. Risk there, it's the same with AI. Fascinating, thank you.